you became a mom, you kind of understood mom differently.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I remember she was so great when Corey was born and she came down and we talked and, just talked about things that, you felt as a parent and
Mm.
the things that you felt, how protective you felt. Your instincts were so different. But I remember the first time Emily ever rolled her eyes at me. I called her and I said, I am so sorry for every time I rolled my eyes at you and implied you were stupid. Now I know how that feels. And
Mhm.
so I think over the years I would call her and say things very similar to that. Oh, I'm so sorry that I did this to you. I'm sorry I did that to you. Or I so relate to you now because I run around and close all the windows. I run around and turn off all the lights. And Rich will say things like, I'm not a mushroom. I don't want to live in the dark. Yeah. So I completely relate to her on a different level, owning a home and being a parent. Absolutely.
Yeah. Wow. Well, obviously, not having kids myself, I don't have that experience,
It's hard. Yeah.
Um, but that's one of the things I remember you saying a lot.
Yeah. I remember calling her too when Corey was going through First Communion and all that we learned because we grew up so Catholic and it was just so innately Catholic and we grew up just automatically doing things but never knowing why we did things and then learning. I called her and I said, "You have failed me in my Catholic instruction because I never knew why I did things. We just did them and now I know why and you didn't fail me. Cut
So
that out."
she explained those things like when you
No,
told
she
her.
didn't know, but we found out about it. We read about it. We learned
It
about it.
was
We
your
studied it.
opportunity. It was our opportunity to learn
Yeah.
firsthand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you've done a lot of that, a lot of reading.
Well, I've tried to over the years, and Maureen's been a big help too in answering questions. If I had questions about something that came up, she was always a good resource to fall back on. Um, no, I'm.
Well, like even just this weekend when Kathleen and Ginny and I were having dinner and we said grace. We said grace
Mm-hmm.
in a way that, we had traditionally said it all our lives, but then there was a little something added extra that I still don't know what that is.
Did Ginny add that?
Ginny added it.
Okay.
And they did it apparently growing up, right?
Huh.
Yeah.
Do you remember? I love this when we were growing up and we'd be saying grace, and Dad would start rushing.
And Mom would
Bless the Lord, these
deliberately
thy gifts which you're about to receive from thy body through Christ the Lord, amen. And sometimes Mom would,
still
just
be a.
sometimes she'd just kind of, shake her head and go
Or
silent.
she'd go really slow.
Yeah, intentionally. Bless us, O Lord, and these thy gifts.
Oh,
That cracked
so
me up.
true.
She just knew this was important,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and for her, that faith and that giving thanks and remembering God, and it was important to Dad too in his own way. But
Yeah. He
was hungry.
Mom enslaved. She wanted some time. She wanted some grateful attitude. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
One of my favorite pictures of Grandma Mac is when I think it was her and Ryan hiking in Ireland.
Yeah.
There's one picture with it's Ryan. I think took it from behind her, and she's walking, and she got her walking stick, and I'm sure a bag that she was carrying with her, and they were just trucking, and I was like, oh,
Yeah.
dude, so cool. Or the one where she's on a bicycle, riding with Ryan as well.
I've not seen that one until your mom sent out the invitation.
And I was just like, dude, does anybody else have a grandma that does that? I don't know.
I know. And I think there's a photo on the invitation from that same hike you're talking about. There's like a lake. They went up into this lake country. I can't remember what part of Ireland it
I
was.
don't know yet.
I think it was like in the Wicklow Mountains or something.
And what an awesome experience for both Ryan and Grandma to experience to do that together. But then also, one of the things I have a good memory of Grandma from was sharing the wine in Italy and how she was not going to waste any of it. And she asked me, her at the time 19-year-old favorite grandson, "Can you help me finish this?" Heck yeah, I'll finish it.
Oh, I didn't remember that. Was that when we were having, like we were at Ali's?
Khalid's
Khalid's,
yeah.
yeah.
And I swear it was like every night, and I was like, "Ooh, cool." But now I'm remembering so many things.
I love that we had that time together as at least a part of our family.
Yeah.
You know, in this gorgeous city.
What a memorable week. I think I was watching something with Oliver recently, and I saw they were in Venice. And I was like, "Oh, hey, I've been to Italy before." And he's like, "Yeah, I met Uncle Tom, Kathleen, Maureen, and Johnny Mac. We were all in Ireland together. And then we went to Italy, so we were all in Italy together for a while." And I just remember thinking to myself, like, I mean, at 19, I could still appreciate it, and I took so much away from it. But, like, even to this day, like 7, 8 years later, it's still impacting me in such a way that I'm like, I have this time in my life that I get to spend with some amazing people, and I wouldn't change it for the world, and I can't wait to do it again.
Yeah.
Whether it's with different people, just myself again, whatever, I don't care. It was just so much fun.
Well, and that's one thing that Grandma started doing after Grandpa died.
I know.
I think it was like a year afterwards, she started traveling, and she went to Italy. And,
She went with the church, like, to the Vatican,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
I vaguely remember that.
Yeah. And
Well,
I remember just being really proud of her for getting out there and doing that. And in a way, I think it inspired a lot of people in the family to start traveling.
I agree.
And so I think we've got a bunch of traveling fools. And
Yeah, some of them are
Plan.
traveling right now.
yeah, no kidding.
I wanted to tell a story about Mom, and you and John and me up at Pike Lakes Market on Thanksgiving a few years back. And you said, before we eat, I thought it'd be great if we could go around the table and talk about, what we're thankful for. And John's like rolling his eyes, like, "Oh God, now we got to do this." And you talk about, I don't know, something very heartfelt and deep, that you're thankful for. John mumbles his way through something that he's thankful for, and I don't even remember what I said I was thankful for. And Mom, it's her turn, and she's really thinking about it. She's like, "You know what? I'm thankful for texting. I am thankful for I love texting. I just do. I do. Because I get to talk to the kids. If it weren't for texting, I wouldn't get to talk to the kids. So there, I love texting. I'm thankful for texting." And I thought, my God, I love this woman, right? She's like 75 years old.
Yeah.
And she's thankful for texting.
Yeah.
That was awesome.
I mean, she's willing to try new things.
Yeah.
Some new things.
Some new things.
Not everything.
Yeah. And then I think back to traveling through Ireland with her. Going to Italy too, but I got the opportunity to be in Ireland alone with her, and she was a fantastic travel companion. Like, she just pushed, and we had so much fun. She was never too tired to do anything. She was always up for anything.
Yeah.
And we stayed at this bed and breakfast in Knock, Ireland. I was not particularly fond of the woman who ran the bed and breakfast.
Yeah.
But it was pretty awesome because our second day there, a tour group from Northern Ireland came down, because Knock is a pilgrimage spot. Pope John Paul II had declared it a site where a miracle had happened.
Okay.
And so this group came in, and we sat and we had dinner with them one night, and they invited us to go the next day. They were going to go to Knock for service, and we were going anyway. But it was great. They invited Mom to join them while they walked around and did the rosary around the buildings, around the building, because they built a building around one of the buildings on the site preserves the site of the stable where the miraculous apparition happened.
Okay.
So they were going around and doing the rosary. And I have pictures of Mom
walking with this tour group from Northern Ireland,
Yeah.
and they're, she's got her blue cable knit sweater over her shoulders like she always does, and her rosary beads hanging from her hands, and she's just participating in the rosary with them, and I think that made her day.
Yeah, I don't think I've seen that photo.
I'll have to find it.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was pretty cool.
Nah. Where else did you go?
We went to the Cliffs of Moher.
Okay.
We went to the Glendalough Mountains.
I don't know where those are.
Those are above Dublin. And we discovered a lot of tombstones on the eastern side of Ireland that were from the O'Byrne family.
Oh, really?
And at Knock, we found a bunch of McLaughlins. It was really interesting.
Because I think actually the two people who had the apparition, one was
a
McLaughlin?
McLaughlin. Yeah.
But I think the other was Byrne. Or
Oh, I don't remember that. Yeah, maybe.
I think I just was hearing this from when Mom went with John and Stefania.
Yeah.
And Stefania's mom.
Yeah, it was pretty cool.
Mm.
It was really cool because we stayed at a hostel in Dublin, and we took the train from Dublin all the way over to the other side of Ireland to take our tour of the cliffs, but also the surrounding towns, and it was so fun. Yeah, I mean, we didn't we didn't go to the Guinness factory or anything,
Yeah.
right? That wasn't Mom's cup of tea.
Right.
But we went to Trinity College. We went to a number. I mean, we had so much fun. We just had a lot of fun.
Did you see the Book of Kells at Trinity?
We did not, because it wasn't open that day.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah, it was really neat.
Yeah, the last when Rebecca and Sage and I were in Ireland last Christmas, we got in on the last tour of and it wasn't really a tour, but of the Book of Kells. They were closing the doors, and we just got in there, and they let us go in for free because it was the last one before the Christmas break.
Wow, that had to have been so cool.
It was great.
That's really neat.
It was great.
So one of the memories I was gonna, besides the ones I was just thinking about now that I wanted to talk about was, or mention was, I think I am so impressed that Grandma is learning to text message. She text messages back, The only thing that still throws me off, it's not that bad now, but LOL.
Yeah.
There's two different meanings for LOL, apparently, and I have to catch it sometimes that Grandma's not laughing out loud. She is sending loads of love.
Yes. That's
So,
right. So how did you get her into that? How did you help her with that?
Well, I think she asked me, you gotta teach me, I'll be really slow, but you gotta teach me how to text. Okay. I'm an avid texter, I think, and among, other people as well, but there would be times where I would just be like, oh, hey, I haven't talked to Grandma in a while, and I'd just send her a message, and, she would send something back, and I think it was almost every time that she would be down or we'd be up at Seattle, and every time I'd, be around Grandma, she'd always say, thank you so much for showing me how to text. Thank you for being patient. And I'd just be like, yeah, of course. And now she has an iPad. I'm like, you are ahead of the game.
Yeah, yeah.
And I'm just like, I am proud of you for doing that. As long as you, stay in touch that way. If that's the only way we can stay in touch, when we can't see each other all the time, then, hey, that's awesome.
Yeah.
And the fact that you're, now almost 80 years old, and like, I don't know too many people who do that.
Yeah.
Those people are like this, I don't want anything to do with it. It's just too much. And she has definitely made a giant effort to, learn even a little bit.
Yeah.
She might only text back a couple of things or not understand very many things, or every time we see each other she needs to be explained something. By now, she doesn't need to be explained too much, but...
No, but she's so open to learning.
Yeah, and thank you for being open.
Yeah. Do you remember, I think it was Thanksgiving up at Uncle John's, and we were standing in a circle.
Yes.
We decided before dinner everyone was going to say something they were thankful for.
Yep.
And what did Grandma say?
For texting.
Yeah. I'm thankful for texting. I think everyone started laughing. She said, no, really.
I was kind of like, okay.
Yeah.
Well, good for you.
Yeah.
At least, thanks for being thankful for it.
Yeah. That was really fun.
I mean, I don't ever expect to see Grandma in a corner like this. Yeah, hold on, love. I'll be with you in just a second. I gotta text back this text. My friend's texting me.
Yeah.
Okay.
No.
Though if that did happen, I'd probably whip up my phone and videotape it because it's pretty funny. But I think texting is definitely that memory. I think. I mean, there's so many, and I gotta keep it short, so I could probably go on for a while. But that's definitely one of my favorites. Is
Yeah.
the thanks for texting with me. Of course, thanks
Yeah.
for texting back. It's
Yeah.
cool. Oh, I'm just texting my grandma. Your grandma texts you back. Your grandma texts. Yep. You're welcome.
Yeah, that's awesome.
First, I want to say happy birthday, Mom.
Happy birthday, Mom.
Very exciting.
Yeah. It's, can I say your age? Is that okay, you think?
Well, I think it's going to become a
Everyone's
pretty big
going to
part
know.
of this.
Yeah. 80 is a huge deal.
Yeah.
And so we're excited that we're going to be there with you.
It's not only a huge deal, it's rather a stunning deal.
Stunning.
Yeah.
Why do you use that word?
Because I'm hassling you.
Yeah, I guess I
Yeah.
use that word a lot.
But to be 80 and traveling the world
Yeah.
and working with people, and sometimes Tom and I marvel at how you have a schedule that sounds at least as busy as ours, and we're often thinking we're too tired to move and you're just going, and
Yeah, I'll call and it'll take you a few days sometimes to get back to me because you're just so busy.
are you sure that's because she's busy?
No. Hey, you're supposed to be on my side.
I am on your side. So when did you see, or do you know a moment when you saw your mom as a person, an individual other than the mother unit? Like, oh, my mom's this person.
Well, there were several times across the years, but maybe the one that flashes into my mind is the earliest was when she took this mask carving class. And it was from an artist in Renton. And I remember there was something that she was carving. I think it might have been driftwood. I don't remember what it was she was carving. But then eventually she started carving this mask. And I remember it kind of being maybe from a big piece of lumber. So it was kind of that lumber color, like the 2x4s out there. But she started making this mask that looked like Native American in the Northwest coastal Indians tradition, totem pole type art. And I had been painting and drawing and all that kind of stuff. And she said that she didn't have that gift, that her brothers got it. And this was before Grammy died. So she didn't think she had the gift, but she started taking this class on her own and coming home with these things she was carving. And I think, although I wouldn't have used that language then, that, when I look back, is where I thought, all right, Mom does stuff outside of the house that I have no part of. So yeah, I think that was probably the earliest one.
Did you say how old you were?
I
Say 9?
maybe 9 or 10, because I know we were living in the house that we moved to when I was 8 years old. So it was after that, but it was before I was a teenager. So somewhere in those preteen years. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know if she still has that mask. That actually is something I've thought I'd like to have. And I need to tell you, Mom, I would like that mask, please, if you still have it.
And are
And you're willing to part with it. I know it's not finished. I don't remember it ever getting in a finished state. But I remember really liking that.
Was she carving it with a knife?
I don't know if there were knives involved, but I think there were like chisels and wood carving tools. Yeah, it was really cool.
I noticed your mom has a real appreciation for art.
Mm-hmm.
There's art all over her home.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
She knows who did each piece and when.
Right. And that means a lot to me too. The pieces that she has on her wall that I did when I was a kid, some of which I look at now and it's like, okay, I was really a beginner back then. But you know, she appreciates them and she keeps them on the wall, and that means a lot to me. So when did you see those pieces on her wall?
Well, I saw them when so my colleague Debbie and friend Debbie and I went up to Renton to take a workshop, and I asked if we could stay with your mom, and she was very gracious and said we could stay in her place. And so we took our blow-up mattresses and we were just gonna throw them down on the floor, and got to your mom's house, and she was so excited to see us. And Debbie was really taken by how warm the welcome was, and how she was afraid she was going to feel like like she was imposing on your mom, and your mom just welcomed us in wholeheartedly, and it was a wonderful, wonderful day. And she taught me about using a shower curtain draped over a sleeping bag
yeah.
and keep the heat in, and she was right.
Yeah. Yeah, because you were using kind of a flimsy.
Very flimsy sleeping bag, yes. And so I took a shower curtain last time we went camping. Didn't need it, but now I have it
But
just
we were
in
prepared.
case. We were prepared.
Actually, that would be a really good idea. For
Yeah.
I mean, because
Did you not know your mom did that?
no, I didn't know that you brought it with us
Oh,
camping.
okay.
Thanks, Mom. That's a good one. There was also you left your pillow, or you left. Didn't you
I
leave
leave
something?
things everywhere I go. Shoes.
But I seem
Yes,
to
I think
remember-
it was my pillow.
And
She
did,
brought it down.
she brought it down next time.
Yeah,
Yeah, that was fun.
yeah,
That was fun.
it's a good time. And Debbie has said to me numerous times since then, now I know why Tom is such a kind and warm person. Because his mom is. True. Very true.
Very sweet. Yeah, Mom is really gracious and welcoming and opening her space to, you know, friends or friends of friends, family, and it's one of the qualities I really admire in Mom is her welcoming, and it really doesn't matter who you are, she will welcome you. Of course, that could, I suppose, make some people think, oh, I'm not so special, but that's not the way I see it. I see it as remarkable, you know, that she'll be so welcoming.
Yeah.
And that is something that she's taught us to be.
Mhm. Yep. Yeah, I noticed that with all 5 of you. Just not necessarily welcoming into each other's homes. I've not been in everybody's home, but like as people,
Mm-hmm.
you draw people in and kind of hold them close.
Mm.
You're in an interaction with them.
Mm-hmm.
You know, another thing, for some reason that made me think of Melinda, my college roommate, because for one of her projects, she recreated one of the pages of the Book of Kells.
Uh-huh.
And so Melinda made me think of college, and when I was at college, bringing my friends home for dinner.
Mm-hmm.
That was something you didn't get to experience
No.
being on the other side of the country.
Right.
But it was awesome. Like my friend Yvonne is from Anchorage. You know, Melinda grew up in Spokane. So my buddies, they didn't have family to go home to. And sometimes it was for holidays if they didn't go home, but often it was just, let's go to my house for dinner this weekend.
Yeah.
You know, and they would come over, and Mom was always just so gracious. Dad was, you know, hilarious. Dad was dad,
Mm-hmm.
you know.
Yeah.
God, Melinda took Dad's. Remember, Dad always had a bowl of whatever vegetable.
Yeah.
That was just his.
Separate bowl. Yeah.
Yeah. So Melinda was sitting on Dad's right, and she just reaches out and grabs Dad's bowl of peas,
Mm-hmm.
and starts dishing her peas out, and we're all just like, Dad's just staring at her like, what's happening? He doesn't say anything,
Mm-hmm.
you know. And I'm like, hey, man, those are my dad's. those are my dad's peas. I'll give you some peas. And my dad's like, yeah, those are my peas. Put those down. It was awesome.
You know, that's one thing that I missed about going to college so far away was
Yeah.
not being able to have people come home and, you know, meet you and
Yeah.
mom and dad and the others. And if there's one thing I could do differently or that I would add to my college experience, it would be that.
Yeah.
I got to go to some of my friends' houses because
Yeah.
you know I couldn't get home very much, and it was always fun. And I think mom and dad would really have enjoyed that.
Yeah.
Sounds like they did with you.
They did. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry. They had a really great time.
Mm-hmm.
Melinda, Yvonne, they were two of my most regular
Mm-hmm.
friends to bring home.
Speaking of college, mom came back to ND a couple of times. One was for like junior parents weekend, and actually there's a picture of mom and I dancing
Yeah.
in the yearbook and
Yep.
from that year. But the one that I really remember probably sticks out most is when she went to a football game. I think we played Penn State. I can't remember, but we got her a ticket. I think it was a regular ticket.
Yeah.
But we snuck her into the student section, and some I don't know, what do you call the guys that take the tickets?
Ushers.
The usher, one of the ushers, just said, "All right, go ahead."
Yeah.
And so she stood up there actually
Yeah.
with my friends and I, because you just don't sit during a
Mom rolls with things really well.
yeah, she does. She does. And we had a blast. We had an absolute blast. We lost.
Yeah.
But she's been a Notre Dame fan longer, since she was a little girl.
Isn't that amazing?
So, yeah, she hung out and had a great time. So I've got this photo of us all, you know, singing the fight song afterwards, and she's up there having a great time.
That's awesome.
It was really fun. You know, one of the things that I remember about the dinner table was how Dad would really kind of command the table, either by telling a story or, you know, he'd be asking us questions about things and kind of that teaching us how to think critically. And I always noticed that, you know, Mom, at least my memory is, she stayed pretty quiet during those. She just observed. She was just a
absorbed.
witness.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I can't remember what happened, but there was a time in the last decade or so where I started to think that she was giving us space to, you know, listen to him and to spend time with him.
Well, that's one of the things that she said she missed the most in the last 20 years since he died, is listening to him.
Mm-hmm.
Because he always had such really insightful things to say. He always was very learned about what was going on and always had something from, you know, an ethical perspective or a legal perspective or, you know, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And he always had a comment, or he always had, you know, he always had something to say about whatever was going on. And that's the one thing she has said. She misses hearing his perspective. She misses that. But she has found her voice in the last 20
Mhm.
years, in the
Mhm.
last, you know, 10 years, I
Mhm.
think, really real. And I think she's different than Dad was. Dad would have been. She's much more of an activist heart today than she ever was when we were growing up.
What do you mean by that? How does that play out?
Well, I think she protests. She goes to protests. She
I
protests.
didn't know that.
Yeah.
She marched in 2001
She
For
yeah.
what? In support of what?
against the United States declaring war and going to Afghanistan.
I didn't know
Yeah.
that.
I mean,
She
she
marched in
pickets.
2003.
She pickets. I'm pretty sure it's abortion. The abortion, against abortion.
Mm-hmm.
But she definitely has, and she's a fighter. Where I think of that little fighting Irishman, you know, and that's who she is. That's who
Mhm.
she's become.
Yeah.
She's become a real, she's really come into her own from her own perspective. She's very, very
Passionate.
feisty, very
Mhm.
passionate when it comes to politics and,
Mhm.
and her religion and her
Mhm.
faith. Absolutely, you know. And it's interesting to watch the way she goes with the kids. She is with the kids, because before she might just listen and be quiet and maybe add a few words here and there, but not anymore. Not anymore. She'll really go toe to toe She'll really try to, I mean, I'm sure her intent is to change their minds or change their perspectives, but she's not afraid to speak her mind or say whatever it is that's on her mind, in relation to what they've said and to what they're thinking and they're believing.
Huh.
It's very interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, I like the way you said that she's found her own voice.
Mm-hmm. I remember telling Mom, I can't remember how long Dad had been gone, and I said, "You need a boyfriend. I think you should date." And she said, and I've said this to Rich so many times. She said, "You know what? I eat what I want when I want. I listen to the program I want as loud as I want. I don't want anyone to tell me what to do, ever." So, nope, there's no dates for her.
Yeah.
She wants to be the ruler of her own life, and
Yeah.
I think she always put herself second. And not in a negative way. I mean, that was a choice, and she always supported and put everybody else in front. And that was her role, and that, I think she was comfortable there. But now that she doesn't have to do that, she's really comfortable being, really strong.
I've noticed that especially with the traveling.
Mm-hmm.
It seems like now she has really embraced the traveling, and
Yeah.
it's so cool that she has met the kids over,
Yeah.
traveling around in Ireland. That's still one of the best pictures that we've seen is her toting her bag. And that's just a great picture.
Riding her bike.
Yeah.
Riding a bike for the first time in 50 years.
Yeah, I think about how
Kissing
she's
the
inspired
Blarney
the kids.
Stone.
Yeah, which is really difficult to do.
She's up. I just found the picture. She's
Really?
upside down.
I'd love to see
and
that
someone's
picture.
holding her,
Wow.
and she's kissing the Blarney Stone.
Yeah.
She's
Yeah.
with Emily and Ryan.
And I think about what she's modeling for them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
That's
Yeah.
that's awesome.
No, she's
She went to New Orleans with Mike. She went to Boston with John, and
Mm-hmm.
just did Ireland and Italy with John and Stefania. She's a little pistol. She's a pistol.
That's great.
Hi, Laura. Happy 90th birthday. Oh, 80th birthday. Sorry about that. I guess I'm supposed to say something about our childhood. Well, I'm not going to do that, Laura, because I'm not going to embarrass you. What you did to Mike and me. If you want to tell the kids, fine, but I certainly wouldn't do anything to embarrass you. I'm just so happy for you at this time. You might remember, though, that Uncle John did the same thing to us when we were kids. He told us at one time that he and Dad did something when they were kids, but to ask, our dads, or our dad. And, I certainly wouldn't do that to you, because I just am so happy that you're having a good time, and we'll talk to you later. Bye now.
And I'm so happy you're having your 80th. I was actually in exercise class today, and one of our members in the class was celebrating her 80th birthday. So we're not there yet. We hope to be there, and we congratulate you for getting there. So happy birthday.
That makes me think of 2009. I went back to the UW to finish my bachelor's degree, and if Mom had still lived in the family house at the time, I would have moved in there. That would have made the most financially. Would have made the most sense, right? But I moved up to Lake City, and that was a really academically very challenging year for me, and I had set some really high goals for myself. And it was funny, it wasn't grades wise goals, it was effort wise goals. I wanted to know what I could accomplish if I just applied myself in a way that I never had before.
Yeah.
So Mom understood that and wanted to support that. And it's so funny, I've told this story so many times to students as I've coached them academically, just about finding your support system. Mom was my support system. I look back to my childhood, just going backwards for a second. Mom went back to college when I was old enough to remember her going back to college.
Mhm.
Like, I remember mom getting food on the table and getting us settled, and then going and grabbing her wool coat from the hall closet, buttoning that up and saying goodnight to us, telling us, this is what you need to do after dinner. I love you and good night, and I'll see you tomorrow. And she would leave to go to school, right? And it's amazing what I've learned in the last few years just about how many people don't have an immediate family member who can set the example of sacrifice to accomplish a goal like college.
Yeah.
So it's now 2009, I'm at the UW, and mom, is at St. James Cathedral every Sunday, and I'm working at Starbucks just north of the university every Sunday.
Yeah.
And I'm off at 12:30, and mom gets out of mass between 1 and 1:30. And so it makes sense for us to get together. And mom would drive up to my Starbucks every week and meet with me. And what she understood really clearly was, I really want to spend time with you, and I really want to do well in school. So mom just wanted the time. So she would, we would talk about personal stuff too, but she was always so willing, and God bless her, so willing to listen to me tell her what I had read that week. Because it was interesting. I've never been the kind of writer who writes an outline. I just sit down and I write, but I do I'm a very verbal processor. And so she would let me do that. That was my writing an outline. I would sit with mom for an hour or two, and I would tell her all about what I had learned, and tell her all about what I, was supposed to be writing about. And really kind of through conversation, she would ask me a ton of questions, and it would challenge me to think in a different way.
Yeah.
And then I would go home and I would sit down and I'd start writing. And she played such an integral part of my success in my senior year of college, was just allowing me the space to talk about, and it was all history. Out of 11 classes, only 2 of them were not history classes. And she just rolled with it, from U.S. history to Jewish cultural studies to, World War II to the Holocaust and the Catholic Church, right? And really heavy stuff. And she would just eat it up and really helped me a lot. Yeah. And she got to go to Dr. Bridgman's classes with me and meet Bridgman. And then she and I went to the Past and Present Society lectures, which Bridgman created this society called the Past and Present Society. And he would give lectures. He would choose a topic, and he would, plan a lecture series that would last the 10 weeks of a quarter. And it was in the evenings on a Wednesday or a Thursday night. And mom would drive up every week and, park right near the UW, and she would walk in and she would sit with me in the student union in the the dog house, and we would eat my sack lunch, or she would bring her sack lunch and I would bring my sack lunch dinner, and we would just sit and talk about, again, it was almost always academically focused.
Wow.
Yeah.
Very cool.
It was cool. It was awesome. And I know she had as much fun as I did.
Yeah. Well, and I've heard her talking about how much she enjoyed going to Bridgman's class.
Yeah.
And would love to have done more.
Yeah. He was pretty phenomenal.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Did you guys have pets when you were young?
The first, well,
Oh,
we
Spinnaker.
had Spinnaker. Spinnaker was our first.
But he was a member of the family. I don't know if you can
Right.
call Spinnaker.
He was. I won't say he was mom's first grandchild. He was definitely dad's first grandchild. Mom would absolutely say no. Corey.
Is
was
he
her
right
first
about that?
grandchild. Yeah. But Spinnaker was dad's first grandchild. But there was actually a pet before, and it was Squeaky, I think. Squeaky was a
One of you guys must have named it that.
Yeah, I can't remember if it was Kathleen or Lori. It was what do you call it? A guinea pig. A guinea pig named Squeaky. Yeah.
It's not a pet, it's a rodent.
I know. That's why I say really Spinnaker was our first pet.
Okay.
And I remember when we got Spinnaker, we had gone downtown to Seattle because I had really bad acne, and we went to visit this
Is this
doctor.
the quack doctor?
This is the quack doctor. We met him in one of the conference rooms in the Seattle Public Library, and we talked. I don't remember what we talked about, but I remember leaving with this little like plastic bottle of stuff that looked a lot like Clearasil, kind of that supposed to be skin tone, and so I started using it, and it ended up being pretty miraculous. But on our way home, we stopped at up near the Renton Highlands at like Pay and Save or Albertsons or something like that. And I sat in the car, and Mom and Dad went into the stores. And then next thing I knew, they were walking back, and they had Spinnaker, this little puppy. And if I'm not mistaken, it was Dad who saw the puppy and said, "We've got to have this."
Was it
dog."
in a box, like on the sidewalk or something?
No, well, yeah. Someone was giving puppies away outside of the store. And they picked one up.
That is fabulous.
Yeah. And Dad named Spinnaker.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That fits.
Definitely. But yeah, Spinnaker was really our first pet. Sorry, Squeaky, but
Hi, Aunt Laura. Congratulations on your birthday. Boy, I remember when I was, I think, 16 years old, and we went to Mount St. Helens, and we went traveling both the state of Washington, well, all throughout the state of Washington. I realized then, and with our trip to the San Juan Islands that summer, of your deep love of what Mother Nature brings us. And so I will always remember waking you up after midnight, you and my mom, and showing you the northern lights here in northern Michigan. And the funny thing is, now every time I see the northern lights, I always think of you, and it'll probably always be that way for me. So thank you for those memories, and I hope you have a fantastic birthday and many years to come.
You have that great memory of us when we were on the boat.
Yes, when Corey and Emily were, I don't know, maybe 3 and a year and a half, maybe a little
Yes.
older.
No, I
That's
think
probably pretty close.
Yeah.
But we had met your mom and dad up at Roche Harbor,
Mm-hmm.
and we went out for a couple of nights, and we went around around Deer Island, I think.
Deer Harbor.
And Deer Harbor, but anyway, one day we're underway and relatively calm water and all that stuff, and out of nowhere come these dolphins to dive at the front of the boat, and I had seen that happen before when I commercial fished up in Alaska, but it's just exciting to see. You're seeing nature, and for whatever reason, whatever excites the dolphins to do that was just fun. But I'll never forget is that how excited your mom was that the two little ones were going to get to see that kind of thing. Now, I have no doubts they have no recollection of that at all. But the fact that we all got to see them see that for the first time, that was good. And her excitement, it carried over not only with watching the kids in that incident. It was, how often did she drive down to watch them all play soccer or swim or whatever event they were doing, And so that's just pretty cool.
Yeah.
That's, like I said, that's just a great modeling right there.
Do you remember when we were on the boat when we were little, and we were, I think, coming back? We may have been coming back from vacation, or maybe we were headed out, and we had whales surface in front of us. And the way Mom was describing it, you would have thought that whale had just barely missed the bow, and it was probably 100 yards ahead of us. Maybe not quite that far, but it was the most amazing experience. But I will never forget the look on her face, the awe, the terror, when that whale just surfaced right next to the boat, and it stayed with us. It was so amazing. It was so amazing. But her reaction was
concern,
concerned and excited and awed all at the same time.
Wow.
We had some amazing
Experiences on the boat.
experiences.
Yeah, I remember the only time I've ever seen whales breach was when we were in the Straits Juan de Fuca heading towards, I think we were heading towards Victoria, and Mom, all of a sudden I heard Mom gasp, and I said, "What?" And she said, "Oh, one of the whales just breached." And I thought, "Oh, damn, I missed it." And so I just kept gazing off, and sure enough, maybe a minute later, I saw one go off. I don't know why she and I were seemed to be the only two in the cockpit at the time.
Mm.
But yeah, that was an amazing sight.
It was pretty cool. That, and she loved the eagles. She loved when we saw the eagles. So did Dad.
Mm-hmm.
They just loved that.
Yeah. You know, one of the things that's been cool over the years too is to see obviously how our families interact. But Mom, like heading up to your folks' place for Thanksgiving, and so on, it's just,
Oh yeah.
it's just, she loves doing it.
Yeah.
Makes the time.
And even when my grandmother was staying with my mom and dad,
Oh yeah.
and then grandma got sick, and then she passed away. But your mom was over there helping, not only taking care of grandma, and they became really good friends. But
She had stayed with Grandma when your parents traveled
exactly,
before, yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
And so, it was a big help to my mom and dad too. So that was
Yeah, she was
pretty
there.
special time.
She was there when Grandma was dying
Mm-hmm.
in more of the hospice capacity,
Mm-hmm.
and kind of helped us, kind of like paced us that weekend. We were there, telling us that she could tell when Grandma was getting closer, just to the final, her final hours, and
Wow.
It was really wonderful to have her there. It was
Yeah.
good. I think it was good for the kids too. But even when Corey and Emily were little, it was probably maybe that same summer that the kids went out on the boat for the first time. Your mom and dad came through on the boat into Port Angeles again, and then met us and stayed at, had dinner again, with the Evanses, like we did that very first summer in 1980. So they got to be good friends too.
Yeah.
That was really nice.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's really nice.
Happy birthday, Grandma. We love you.
Wow, 80 years young.
Right? Nothing slows her down.
Seriously, though, she's such a speed walker. She runs laps around both of us. That's why I started running.
She's small but mighty.
Small and mighty indeed. What other words would you use to describe her?
She's kind and loving, adventurous.
Wow, you've had some pretty unique adventures with your grandma.
Yeah, I was lucky enough to travel around Ireland with her. We were even bunkmates in the hostels. She was so open to whatever plans Ryan and I came up with, whether that was bussing around the country, climbing through castles, kissing the Blarney Stone. Nothing holds her back.
Was there something in particular about that trip that stands out?
I remember traveling to the Wicklow Mountains to see where our ancestors are from, and it sparked a lot of conversations about our family tree and our family history. And Grandma let us ask her whatever questions we could think of. We talked a lot about Grandpa, who I don't really remember, and she was totally open to filling in the details of who he was and who they were together. And I'm so grateful to have had that time with her to ask questions about him, but also questions about her and who she was when she was my age.
Sounds like you've had a lot of special moments with your grandma.
I really have. And not just traveling the world, it's the little things.
What do you mean by the little things?
She's just so thoughtful. She often holds on to things that she thinks I'd like or need, and it's nice to know that she's thinking of me.
Yeah, that is nice.
And there was one time also in college when I needed to get to Olympia to get my visa before studying abroad, and she drove me there and back in a day.
Oh, I've heard this story. I thought you waited till the last minute and you almost couldn't go.
Okay, yeah, I procrastinated and waited to the very last minute. But if it weren't for my grandma, I wouldn't have been able to study abroad in Spain. I remember feeling so embarrassed, too, because the plan was for her to pick me up after class. But in my stress, I had told her the wrong time. So she waited an hour and a half until I finished my midterm before then driving me round trip to Olympia and back.
Yikes, Sam.
I know, it still makes me cringe. But you know what she told me?
What's that?
She said that she was grateful for our time together. Can you believe that? No lecture about procrastinating, just gratitude for some alone time with just the two of us to catch up and chat.
Wow, what an amazing woman.
She really is. I feel so lucky to be her granddaughter and to have such a wonderful woman in my life. I love you so much, Grandma. Happiest of birthdays.
Happy birthday. We love you.